At my sister-in-law's wedding, she grabbed the mic and said, "Let's thank my brother's wife for wearing her pajamas to a formal event." Laughter echoed through the hall until my boss, who happened to be a guest, walked in and said, "I didn't know you'd be here." Minutes later, what he said changed everything. You ever have one of those nights where everything feels just a little off and you don't know why yet? Like you can feel the storm coming, but the sky's still pretending to be blue? That was me the night of my sister-in-law's wedding. My name's Colin Harrow. I'm 46, live in Denver, Colorado, and I work a dead boring middle management job at a tech company that thinks free vending machines are some kind of luxury benefit. I'm married to Jenna, 43, smart as hill, stubborn as a mule when she wants to be. And, well, Jenna's little sister, Sabrina, was getting married that Saturday. The Sabrina who had once gotten banned from 2 different gyms for filming candid workout videos of herself. The Sabrina who thought Pinterest and Instagram were holy scriptures. If you don't know the type, count your blessings. Anyway, the wedding was at the Willow Creek Ballroom downtown. Super fancy, chandeliers everywhere, polished marble floors you could eat off, that whole "I spent my entire future mortgage on one day" vibe. Jenna and I pulled up about 10 minutes late. I was already sweating in my rented tux. "Do we have to stay long?" I muttered, yanking at my too tight collar as Jenna fixed her lipstick in the visor mirror. She gave me a look. You know the one. The one wives give when they're one snarky comment away from throwing you to the wolves. "It's her wedding, Colin," she said, smoothing down her cream-colored outfit. "We're staying for everything. Dinner, dancing, toasts. Everything." I looked her over, smiling a little despite myself. She looked good. Comfortable. Different from everyone else who'd be showing up decked out in sequins and hairspray, sure, but I liked it. Jenna had style. She never cared about fitting into a mold. She wore this silky, 2-piece set, light, flowy, soft-looking. Pajamas to some people, maybe. To me, she looked like the only sane one. "All right," I sighed. "I'll behave." We walked into the lobby, greeted by a wall of flower arrangements that smelled like a Bath and Body Works exploded. Some teenager shoved champagne flutes at us the second we got through the door. Jenna sipped hers delicately. I downed half mine in one gulp. The ceremony was outside in the garden. Typical Colorado June afternoon, warm but not roasting, a breeze just strong enough to lift Sabrina's veil in every damn photo. Chairs were lined up perfectly, each with a little, reserved for, sign written in that curly script everyone uses for weddings. Everyone around us was dressed like they thought they were attending the Oscars. I noticed Jenna's shoulders tense a little as we found our seats. "You okay?" I whispered. "Fine," she said quickly. Too quickly. I squeezed her hand. She squeezed back, but her fingers were cold. The ceremony itself went off without a hitch. Sabrina floated down the aisle like she was walking on clouds, clutching this giant bouquet like a weapon. Derek, the groom, stood up there sobbing. Not a few tears. Full-on nose running, gasping, ugly sobs. Jenna whispered to me behind her program, "Bet he ruins the vows." He almost did. After the ceremony, the real party started. Cocktail hour first. Tiny food on tiny plates. Waiters gliding around like sharks with trays of shrimp skewers and spinach puffs. I tried to grab 2 of each. Jenna elbowed me in the ribs. At our assigned table, we sat with a bunch of Sabrina's friends, people Jenna barely knew, but was too polite to avoid. Sabrina's high school bestie, Lexi, and her new husband, Drew, were across from us. Lexi was the kind of woman who laughed just a little too loudly at everything. "You must be Jenna's husband," she said brightly, leaning over like I was deaf. "That's me," I said, plastering on a smile. She gave Jenna a once-over and her mouth twisted into a kind of smirk. "Love your outfit." "So, relaxed?" Jenna smiled tightly and turned back to her wine glass. I kicked her foot under the table lightly. She didn't look at me. The salad course came and went. People buzzed with laughter and chatter around us. Someone's uncle tried to start a conga line before dinner. Sabrina glided from table to table like a queen inspecting her subjects. Then came the part I'll never forget. The DJ called for everyone's attention. Microphone feedback whined through the speakers. I flinched. Sabrina grabbed the mic with manicured fingers. Her cheeks were flushed, either from champagne or from all the attention. Maybe both. "I just want to say a few words before we really get the party started," she chirped. People clapped politely. Sabrina grinned, her eyes sparkling in that way that always made Jenna wary. "And I especially want to give a shout out to someone very close to my heart tonight," she said, pausing for effect. People leaned in. She turned and pointed, right at our table. "Let's all thank my brother's wife for wearing her pajamas to a formal event." Laughter ripped through the hall like a GN shot. I swear I heard at least 2 people whoop. I looked at Jenna. She was frozen. Face blank. Like someone had just slapped her in front of everyone. I pushed my chair back, furious, about to get up and, God, I don't even know, say something, cause a scene, anything. That's when I heard a voice behind me. Didn't know you'd be here. I turned and there he was, Mr. Halverson, Senior VP at the company. My boss's boss's boss. The man who signed the promotion papers. He clapped a hand on my back like we were old buddies. Colin Harrow. Small world, huh? Your family with these guys? Yeah, I said, brain still spinning. He looked around, chuckling. Man, what a riot. You've got nerves of steel. Keeping your cool like that, impressive. I always say, how a man handles family drama tells you everything you need to know. I nodded dumbly. He leaned in a little closer, lowering his voice. Listen, I've been watching you. Thinking about that regional director role. Wasn't sure if you had the right leadership demeanor. But tonight, I'm seeing a different side. Calm, collected, family guy. That's what we need. He winked. I'll be giving you a call next week. And just like that, he was gone, disappearing into the crowd like some corporate fairy godmother. I sat down heavily. Jenna hadn't moved. She hadn't said a word. Her wine glass was empty. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away sharply, standing up. Bathroom, she muttered. I watched her weave through the crowd, head high, back stiff. Lexi leaned over again, laughing behind her napkin. God, you guys are lucky. You're so low maintenance. It's refreshing. I wanted to throw my fork at her. Instead, I sat there, stewing, thinking. Because here's the thing, Sabrina knew what she was doing. That wasn't some innocent slip. She'd always resented Jenna. Always thought Jenna thought she was better. Smarter. More responsible. And tonight, with all the cameras clicking and phones recording, she'd gotten her revenge. And thanks to pure dumb luck, my career was about to skyrocket because of it. And all I could think was, what the hell am I supposed to do now? I sat there for a few minutes, picking at the wilted lettuce on my plate, trying not to make eye contact with anyone. Jenna didn't come back right away. I thought about going after her, but my legs wouldn't move. Maybe part of me figured she needed space. Maybe part of me was just afraid. The DJ started blaring music. Couples trickled onto the dance floor. Sabrina twirled around, her dress catching the light like some glittering hurricane. She looked over at me once, smirking, before throwing her arms around Derek and laughing like nothing happened. I finally stood up and went looking for Jenna. Found her outside, sitting alone on one of those cold stone benches by the little fake pond they had set up for photo ops. Her shoulders were hunched, her phone clutched in her hand like she wanted to throw it. I sat down next to her slowly. Neither of us said anything for a while. The fountain gurgled awkwardly behind us. She planned that, Jenna said finally, her voice flat. I know, I said. Jenna sniffed, swiping under her eyes quickly before any tears could fall. God, I should have known. I should have just worn some stupid dress like everyone else. I shook my head. You looked amazing. She laughed, but it was a bitter sound. Yeah, well, apparently I looked hilarious too. I wanted to fix it. I wanted to tell her it didn't matter. That Sabrina was petty and small and not worth another second of her energy. Instead, like an idiot, I said, it's not all bad. Halverson was impressed. Said seeing me handle it might have locked in the promotion. The second the words left my mouth, I knew it was the wrong thing. Jenna turned to me, eyes wide with disbelief. Oh, she said quietly. So my public humiliation is your career boost. Great. Good for you, Colin. Jenna, she stood up sharply. No. I get it now. You don't care? You're relieved it happened. That's not fair, I said, standing too. You think I wanted her to treat you like that? You think I'm happy about this? You just said, I'm trying to find some silver lining, damn it. The fountain splashed cheerily beside us, oblivious. Jenna crossed her arms, breathing hard. You should have stood up for me. I closed my eyes, jaw tight. In the middle of the damn reception? Make a bigger scene? You should have done something. She wasn't wrong. God, she wasn't wrong. I didn't know what to do, I said finally, my voice low. I froze. I'm sorry. Jenna shook her head, stepping back. Yeah, freezing seems to be your thing lately. That hit harder than I expected. Before I could say anything else, Jenna turned and walked away, her heels clicking sharply against the stones. I stood there, alone, feeling like the world's biggest coward. When I finally came back inside, the party was in full swing. People were drunk enough that the dancing had turned from elegant waltz to flailing mess. Someone had already spilled red wine on the dance floor. The DJ was playing old-school hip-hop, and Sabrina was grinding against Derek in a way that made old Aunt Marnie nearly choke on her gin and tonic. I scanned the room, but I didn't see Jenna. I did see Sabrina, laughing with a group of bridesmaids near the bar. She caught me looking and actually had the audacity to wave me over. I didn't want to. God help me, I didn't want to. But I forced myself to walk over, face blank. "Hey, big brother," she chirped, handing me a glass of something pink and sticky. "You mad?" I didn't take the drink. "You didn't have to do that," I said, keeping my voice low. Sabrina batted her lashes innocently. "Do what? Make a little joke? Come on, Colin. Lighten up." Everyone thought it was hilarious. "She's your sister," I said. "You humiliated her. On her big day." Sabrina rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. Jenna's always been so stuck up. Acted like she's better than everyone just because she married first, bought a house first, had the good job first. Maybe she needed to be knocked down a peg." I stared at her, stunned. "You're unbelievable," I said. Sabrina shrugged, tossing her hair over her shoulder. "It's my wedding. I'll say what I want." I opened my mouth to say something else, but Lexi popped up beside her, giggling. "Shots." Lexi squealed, waving a tray like it was a prize. Sabrina blew me a kiss and turned away, leaving me standing there, fists clenched. I found Jenna about 15 minutes later. She was sitting at a back table with her cousin Priya, nursing what looked like her third or fourth glass of wine. She saw me coming and straightened up stiffly. "I'm leaving soon," she said before I even opened my mouth. I pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. "I'll come with you." "No," Jenna said. "Stay. You're the guest of honor now, right?" "Come on, Jenna," I said. "Don't do this." She looked at me, eyes glassy, tired. "What? Tell the truth. You don't defend me when it matters. You don't back me up. You just stand there, hoping nobody notices." "That's not fair," I said again, but the words felt weak even to me. Jenna shook her head slowly. "It's been this way for a while, hasn't it?" I didn't answer. Because she was right. The fight's about money. About feeling invisible. About how I always seem to pick the path of least resistance, even when it cost us. This wasn't about tonight. Not really. Tonight was just the final straw. Priya looked uncomfortable, glancing between us. She stood up quickly, mumbling something about needing to check on her husband. Jenna leaned forward, her voice low and trembling. "I can't be married to someone who doesn't choose me when it counts, Colin." I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. But what could I say? I didn't know what to say to her. She was sitting there, across the table, looking at me like she didn't recognize me anymore. And maybe she didn't. Hill, maybe I didn't even recognize myself. "Jenna, can we not do this here?" I said, voice low, desperate. She laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was sharp and hollow. "Oh, now you care about appearances? Please." She stood up abruptly. The chair scraped loud against the floor, making a few heads turn. Without waiting for me, Jenna grabbed her little clutch off the table and marched out. Didn't look back. I sat there like a fool for a few seconds, heart pounding, before dragging myself up and following her out. By the time I got to the parking lot, she was already pulling out in her car, tires crunching over the gravel. Gone. And there I was, standing in the middle of the night in a rental tux, breathing hard and feeling about 2 inches tall. I didn't want to go back inside. Didn't want to deal with the fake smiles, the drunk relatives, the plastic joy. But I had to get my car keys from Jenna's cousin, who was holding them for safekeeping. So, tail tucked firmly between my legs, I trudged back in. On the way to the coat check, I passed by Sabrina. She caught my arm. "Hey," she said, slurring slightly. "Where's Jenna? She too embarrassed to stay?" I yanked my arm free, harder than I meant to. "Go to Hill, Sabrina," I said. Her eyes widened, all mock innocence. "What's your problem?" It was a joke. "You don't joke like that about family," I snapped. "Not unless you're trying to hurt them." She laughed again, this ugly, mean little sound, and tossed her hair. "You're so sensitive. No wonder Jenna's so boring all the time." That was it. "Good luck with Derek," I said. "You're gonna need it." Her face twisted, but I was already walking away. The drive home was a blur. I barely remembered getting on I-25, barely remembered parking the car in the driveway. The house loomed dark and silent in front of me. Jenna's car was there. For a second, I just sat in the driveway, hands gripping the steering wheel, head against the seat. I didn't want to go inside. I didn't want to have the fight I knew was waiting for me. But I couldn't sit there forever. I finally dragged myself out and went inside. The house was freezing. Jenna was in the kitchen, standing by the sink, her hands braced against the counter like she needed it to stay upright. She didn't look at me when I came in. I closed the door behind me softly. Jenna, I said. Nothing. I stepped closer. Can we please just talk? She turned slowly to face me. Her eyes were rimmed red, but dry now. Empty. Talk, she said flatly. Sure, let's talk. I hated how cold she sounded. Jenna had always been the fire between us, quick to laugh, quick to get angry, quick to love. This coldness scared me more than any yelling would have. I know tonight was awful, I said. And I know I should have said something. Should have done something. You think, she said bitterly. I'm sorry. She laughed that empty laugh again. You keep saying that. It doesn't change anything, Colin. I rubbed my face. I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to see me, she said, voice cracking. I want you to fight for me. Not just when it's convenient. Not just when it won't cost you anything. I'm fighting now, I said, louder than I meant to. Are you? She shot back. Because it feels like you're fighting for yourself. For your promotion. For your image. That's not fair. It's the truth. We stared at each other across the kitchen, the gulf between us feeling wider than the damn Grand Canyon. Finally, Jenna spoke again, softer this time. When you didn't stand up tonight, it wasn't just about Sabrina. It was about every time you've chosen being comfortable over standing with me. That's not, I started, but she cut me off with a shake of her head. It is. You just don't want to admit it. I pressed my palms into the counter, grounding myself. I'm scared too, Jenna, I said, voice rough. I'm scared of losing my job. Scared of messing up. Scared of not being enough. She looked at me, and for a second, her face softened. Then she said, you're not supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to try. I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know if I could. Jenna turned back to the sink, bracing herself again. I'm going to bed, she said quietly. Jenna, she shook her head. Not tonight, Colin. She left me standing there, alone in the kitchen, with nothing but the hum of the refrigerator and my own stupid guilt. The next few days were weird, tense, silent. We moved around each other like ghosts. We spoke only when necessary. Did you feed the dog? Can you pick up the dry cleaning? But never about what mattered. Never about us. At work, Halverson called me into his office. Gave me the big speech about leadership and grace under pressure. Offered me the regional director role. I said yes, because what else was I supposed to do? When I came home that night with a bottle of champagne and takeout from Jenna's favorite Thai place, thinking maybe, just maybe, it could be a peace offering, I found her suitcase packed by the door. She wasn't leaving. Not yet. Just some space, she said. Just a few nights at Priya's place. But her eyes told me it was more than that. I didn't stop her. I should have. I stood there, watching the taillights of her car disappear down the street, feeling like the ground had dropped out from under me. The days after Jenna left were the slowest of my life. I woke up, went to work, came home, slept on one side of the bed. Repeat. The promotion didn't even feel real. Sure, I got congratulated. Got a nicer office. Got an email with lots of exclamation points from Halverson. But it was like holding a trophy for a game I didn't even remember playing. None of it mattered with the house so damn quiet. I texted Jenna a few times. Nothing heavy. Just, hope you're okay. Let me know if you need anything. Mostly, she didn't answer. Or if she did, it was one-word replies. A week after she left, Priya called me. You need to come over, she said. Tonight? I hesitated. Is Jenna? Just come. Priya lived in this cozy little townhome over in Capitol Hill, the artsy part of Denver where every other building looked like it was 100 years old. When I got there, she waved me inside without smiling. Jenna was sitting at the kitchen table, looking calmer but still distant. Priya poured me a cup of coffee like it was going to be a long night. You know Sabrina's big honeymoon? Priya said, leaning against the counter. I blinked. What about it? She didn't pay for it herself. What? Jenna slid a stack of papers across the table. Bank statements. Credit card bills. All in Derek's name. Huge charges, a custom-made dress, the venue deposit, the catering, things Sabrina had bragged about paying for herself. Priya crossed her arms. She forged Derek's signature on a joint account they set up early for wedding expenses. My mouth dropped open. You're kidding. Not even a little, Priya said. Derek's parents found out. They're furious. They're threatening to cut her off. I looked at Jenna, heart pounding. How do you know all this? She shrugged, eyes tired. Derek's cousin, Matt, told me. Said Derek's been freaking out all week. I sat back hard in the chair. Jesus. And, Jenna added, her mouth curving into something almost like a smile, they don't know who else knows. Priya grinned. Yet. I stared at them. You're planning something. Not planning, Jenna said calmly. Deciding. I leaned forward. Deciding what? Jenna tapped the papers. Deciding if we want to give them a little nudge. I didn't have to ask what she meant. For a moment, I hesitated. I wasn't a vengeful guy. I didn't like drama. But then I thought about Sabrina's smug face. The way she humiliated Jenna. The way she tore at something sacred between us just to feel bigger. And maybe, just maybe, Sabrina deserved a taste of what she dished out. I looked at Jenna and said, "What do you need me to do?" The plan was simple. Derek's parents, old money snobs who barely tolerated Sabrina's influencer lifestyle, were hosting a welcome-back brunch at their mansion in Cherry Creek. All the wedding guests were invited. I RSVP'd. So did Priya. Jenna didn't. The morning of the brunch, Priya and I showed up in our Sunday best. Derek's parents had the whole 9 yards laid out, mimosa bars, custom omelet stations, ice sculptures shaped like swans. Ridiculous. Sabrina was there, dressed in a white sundress, playing the perfect doting wife. But Derek looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Red-rimmed eyes, tense shoulders, barely touching Sabrina. We mingled, made nice, waited, and right as everyone was sitting down for speeches and toasts, Priya gave me the signal. I casually slipped the stack of papers, copies of the forged bank documents, into an envelope labeled, "For Derek's eyes only." Slid it right onto the gift table between the cards and presents. And then we left. Didn't even stay for omelets. The fallout was immediate. Priya sent me updates via text all afternoon. Apparently, Derek opened the envelope right after the speeches. In front of everyone. The yelling started before they even cut the cake. Word spread like wildfire. Half the guests heard Derek shouting something about liar and fraud and using me. Sabrina was last seen crying hysterically in the driveway while Derek's mother demanded the engagement ring back. By Monday morning, Derek had moved out of their downtown loft. By Wednesday, Sabrina's Instagram, the curated life she spent years building, was mysteriously deleted. By Friday, her TikTok was flooded with comments like, "Didn't you steal from your husband? Biggest scammer of the year. Should have stayed humble, princess." It was beautiful. Jenna didn't gloat. She wasn't the gloating type. But the first time she smiled, really smiled, in weeks was when she saw one of the videos of Sabrina crying on the side of the road. And I realized something. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about showing Jenna that I could choose her. Stand up for her. Put us first. One night, a week later, she came home. No warning. Just walked in, dropped her bag, and looked at me. "I miss my dog," she said quietly. I crossed the room in 2 steps and hugged her so tightly she squeaked. "I missed you," I whispered into her hair. She hugged me back. Longer than she had in months. We still had a lot to fix. A lot to talk about. But for the first time in a long time, it felt like we actually would.